Hi, welcome to Bovine Science with BCI, where our experts will answer your question. Happy to have a couple good experts here with me today. I'm Brad White, and this is Dr. Brian Lubers.
Hello.
And Dr. AJ Tarpoff.
Howdy.
Both from K-State, and we've got a good listener question. And on this program, our format is they'll each get a chance to respond to the listener question, and based on their responses, they'll get up to 10 points. If you have a listener question you'd like us to answer, you can always send us an email at bci@ksu.edu. Without further ado, let's jump into today's question. And today's question is from a listener who said, what's the best way to manage hypothermic calves, or calves that are born that end up getting too cold? AJ, I'm going to go to you first.
Yeah, I think the best way to manage hypothermic calves is number one, know where your starting point is. I think having a rectal thermometer in your calving kit to know when to intervene is highly important. From that, when do we need to intervene? I think any animal from the once we get into the mid-90s, the upper to mid-90s, they need some added help. My personal favorite for warming calves up is actually dry circulating air. Some of the hot boxes and circulating, I know they're expensive, but they are worth their weight in gold to try to warm those calves up. The biggest thing that I like to remind people is it takes time. This is a labor-intensive thing to try to manage hypothermic calves, to slowly warm them up, to get them back and going. So get them in there. It's going to take about 2 hours. It's okay to wait to give colostrum if you've got hypothermic calves.
So getting warmed up first, excellent. So AJ covered a lot of points there. Take his temperature, get him warmed up, that dry air, and you may have to wait to do colostrum. So 8 points for AJ out of the gate. Brian?
It's going to be tough to beat. So I agree with AJ's point about take a temperature. You got to know where you're starting. I agree that warm, dry, circulating air is the best for most situations. So I'm going to pivot a little bit here and say the method you use to warm up a hypothermic calf, though, is going to depend on how hypothermic they are. So if you catch them relatively early, so mild hypothermia. So AJ said, mid-90s is where you start to intervene. Understand normal body temperature for a calf is a little bit higher than a person. So we're looking at 102, 103 is where we'd see a normal calf. We're not 98.6 for calves. So mid-90s we start to intervene. But if they're really hypothermic, you may have to use initially a tub of warm water to get more. You may have to get them warmed up a little bit quicker. And if they are severely hypothermic, you may have to do things, and this is probably where a veterinarian needs to intervene, warm IV fluids, or you may actually have to flush warm water into their stomach and then back out, so you're warming up their core body, not just their external body.
Excellent, Brian. Good additions, because the type of heat that you use is going to depend how far down the ladder they are as far as their temperature is. So 9 points for the answer, but 2 point deduction for going overtime. So AJ, as we think about warming up those calves and getting them going, what's next, right? I've got them maybe come back up to temperature. How soon can I put them back outside? What do I start thinking about next, or the next steps in that process?
Yeah, so I'll take that, in the area of, this is a newborn calf, right? Born on a negative 30-degree day. So I'll use it in that context. We noticed it was weak, it was down, it looked very cold. We picked it up, could tell right away it was hypothermic. We took a rectal temperature, and now we're down into the mid-80s. We were able to successfully get it kind of warmed back up, whether in the pickup or in a drying box or in a tub submersion. A lot of different ways. Regardless of the way you're going to do it, it's going to take an hour and a half. Then it's making sure that calf is dry. If that calf is dry to the bone, it's warmed back up. Now it's time to reintroduce it to its mom. Make sure they're in a protected area, and they should be good to go.
So you're good with taking it right back out within a couple hours, get it back to its mom so it can start nursing.
Yep.
Okay. Brian?
Yep, I agree with AJ again. I think the one addition I would put in there is, again, I'll take the same scenario. This is a newborn calf. We know we were able to intervene relatively quickly. We're able to get that calf recovered relatively quickly. I think the one thing, because we're on the clock now with colostrum, so I think the one addition I might add in there is if we, let's say we thought the calf was a couple hours old when we noticed it, maybe it took a couple hours to warm it up. So we're 4 hours into, really we'd like it in there in the first 12 hours. 24 is the absolute max for colostrum. So the further we get into that 12-hour window, if you're 6-8 hours, I think supplementing colostrum at that point is an absolute necessity. But I agree, kicking back out with mom as soon as they're able to move around, stand, and have a relatively normal body temp.
Excellent answers, guys. This is great information, especially when we go through this time of year and these calves are born into the cold. Appreciate you joining us, and if you have questions, you can always send us an email. Before I do that, I'm going to say final score, AJ got 9, Brian, you ended up with 8. You get an extra point for that last answer. But if you have any questions you'd like us to answer, you can send us an email at bci@ksu.edu.